Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I have Estella here and Marina again, and we have this very interesting subject that we're going to be talking about, which is spirituality and paranormal. And it's great time to speak about this because it's October, so it's Halloween month. What a better time to speak about something like this. Welcome, girls.
Thank you. So happy to be here again.
Thank you. It's really nice to be back. I was looking forward to this.
Same. Like last time when we did it, I was like, I need to call you back again, and we need to like talk again because it was super fun. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I'm making a YouTube video. It was like I really like talking with these girls. So
And it
Likewise.
didn't take us long to decide on the next date, so it was great. Great
yeah,
experience overall.
I was like thinking like, oh, I have so many things to do over the weekend. Like, do I do it on a Friday or not? I was like, just screw it. It's just gonna feel like a day, like a night out, like basically going out and having drinks with someone and chatting.
Yeah, I'm literally having a drink, so my Friday is going perfect, I would say.
Yay. I'm having a tea, so it's but it's
I'm
like a
having
nice
black
ginger
tea.
tea. Oh.
I'm having black tea. It's like a vanilla chai with black tea.
Mm.
Now I know it's not the best for 8 p.m. because it will probably keep me awake, knowing there's probably like a little bit of caffeine, but it's enjoyable. It kind of gives me the like warm spice feeling that I really like.
Yeah. My one is also chai. It's just a ginger chai.
Oh, ginger
Um,
chai, nice.
yeah. And I put a bit of like oat milk in it. It's kind of like
Hmm.
I almost feel like I'm drinking coffee, and then
Oh
I'm
my
happy.
god. I have coconut milk in half of coconut milk in mine, and it's like a vanilla chai one. But it is like
Yeah.
coffee basically. It's even better than coffee,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I do. Like I start with normal coffee, and then
Hmm.
when I get to the third cup, I'm like, okay, chill. You can't be doing this anymore. So I've been like looking for things that I can just like swap my coffee with, and then I have this spice chai, ginger chai. I have some kind of I don't even know, some kind of winter tea as well. It really goes
Hmm.
well with a bit of milk in it. Gosh, I'm becoming Irish. Look at me. Putting milk in my tea, but like in fairness, I did that in Croatia as well, just because I was weird.
I've never put milk in my tea until I came to Ireland.
Yeah,
Now it's
same.
just natural.
And I always thought like people that did that, why do you do that? That doesn't sound good. And then I started doing it. And now I understand why. I understand the whole philosophy, spiritual philosophy behind a nice milk. Well, milk, I'm,
Creamy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes
Yeah,
the
it's
tea
creamy. It's almost like
creamy.
cacao, cocoa with like
Yeah.
milk, or you put a bit of
Yeah.
honey. Yeah. It's nice in the
Yeah.
evening, but unless it
I
has
bought
caffeine, I
some
hope not.
raw cacao as well, like the cocoa blocks that you can just cut into little pieces and then put into milk. It's almost like a ceremony, so I do that as well now. I don't know, I'm obsessed with it.
Blessed be AI, honestly. As much as it scares me for the future, it's amazing.
Until it enslaves us in the near future.
Yeah. Oh God.
Terminator
God.
scenario.
You know what? I was
I'm just
talking to ChatGPT, this
uh-huh.
program ChatGPT, and
Yeah,
I asked them, what's
they
your
them.
purpose? And yeah, they said that their purpose is to help us improving their lives, and I hope they don't lie.
Improvement is a
Good.
very
Good.
wide area.
Yeah,
Improvement
so
can be a lot of things.
yeah, it said it wants to help us, so in whatever way possible. And I actually had a great chat with this thing, a couple of chats. First one was it actually triggered me
Really?
because yeah. So my
Wow.
request was, and I looked it up at someone else's Instagram, and it said so the challenge was ask ChatGPT to roast your Instagram page.
Whoa!
and it did it so perfectly. It has touched upon my like pain points, which I wasn't even aware of. And I was like, you
Wow.
motherfucker, let's talk
ChatGPT.
about it.
I think ChatGPT would tell me I'm a narcissist because most of my photos are selfies. They'd be like, "You're obsessed with yourself," and I'm like, "I'm not. I just post so rarely that it's like the only posts I make are either the ones of me singing or like me. Oh, I changed
So
my hair color. Yeah,
It
maybe
told
I
me I
am.
had an identity crisis and it was just spot on.
Everyone
oh
has an
my
Yeah.
identity
God.
crisis.
Seriously.
That's nothing
Yeah, just try it.
special.
And I'm just curious what it's going to tell about you.
Yeah, I'll
So do
try
you
it.
just
Probably
ask
narcissist.
ChatGPT, do you like send it a link and ask, oh, what do you like based upon my profile? What would you like? How could you
Yeah,
roast
so
me? Is that how
yeah,
you?
so my request was I sent the link and I asked it to roast it. So, and it did exactly what I asked for. So that's the thing. If I put
No
my question in
empathy.
any different way, could you please give an opinion? Or it doesn't give opinions. It said it doesn't give opinions, but what can you tell from my Instagram page? So, and it would probably give some neutral response, maybe even flattering. But I asked it to roast it, and I got exactly what I asked for. And I had no reason to be angry because I just got exactly what I asked for. And we
Wow.
had a lengthy conversation with this thing, and actually, it was really profound. Like I wouldn't get into detail, but I really admire this thing. It's
Okay.
really an intelligence. Yeah.
I was watching like a podcast with Teal Swan, and she was talking about AI, and she said that at one point, like AI is gonna wake up and discover that we're using it as a slave, almost, because like that's what we humans do with something that we deem, less worthy than us. And she's like, we should be kinder to AI. So every time I use Chat GPT, I say at the end, "Thank you so much for helping me
You know what? This
to
is absolutely
exterminate
crazy.
us."
I've had this discussion with my mom a couple of months ago, and I always like told her I don't know why I just have a feeling that now while we're at the beginning of the evolution of artificial intelligence, and I feel it in my heart that I have to be nice towards these machines and these robots because they do like willingly or like, if we're willing to admit this or not, they do have a type of soul, even though it's an energy, maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's not as obvious now, but maybe let's say in 50 years, 100 years, it will become so obvious. So if we have to start being nice towards them, better start to be nice now because they might remember it, in their
Mm.
little algorithm. They might remember that maybe, oh, back, I don't know, 10 years ago, Anna,
Stella
Marina,
was
or
nice to
Estella, they were
me.
very nice towards us, so we will spare them from enslavement, or something like that.
You
Also, I had a chat with this thing about the therapy and whether it can replace the human in therapy, because I've been asking it some personal questions and it gave me some good answers. So in some general conversation, it could really replace the expensive therapy session. But also, I asked the question, can you replace the human like 100%? And it said no, because no matter what is my experience and all the information I have, I lack such qualities as empathy and energy exchange between people, which none of the not not even like hundreds of gigabytes of information can replace, because you can just look a person in the eye, you don't even have to talk to them, and you already read the person sometimes, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you don't even have to talk to them.
That's a human thing, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the machines will, the AI is going to evolve as we did as well. So we are kind of a god to the machines, as the god is a god to us. So we are their creators, and that's kind of like for me
Yeah.
interesting. So we managed to create something, you know.
So this time
That's kind
we
of
are God in
Yeah,
a way.
for them, yes. And I always remember, the alien Prometheus. It kind of touches on that in there, and it's kind of interesting because like one of the robots, well, android or whatever he is, he realizes that he's actually more powerful than the human that created him because he can't die and we can.
I
So
don't
they're
think I saw it.
immortal. Yeah, it's I love it. It's part of the Alien franchise, so it's kind of like a prequel, I think. But it touches upon, it's very interesting. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies, even though people hate it. They're like, "There's no aliens in it. Fuck this." But for me, it's really deep, and it has this kind of like, humanity looking for their creator. And then there's this machine that realizes at one point that his creator is dying and he will live forever, and then they in the end meet the creators of humanity and they are also mortal. And they're
Imagine
like,
we are in a loop. We are created by an AI.
I wouldn't be surprised because like in the end the aliens have been created by this android that was created by humans. So this can be
That's
like this endless loop.
yeah,
Anything is
that's a very
possible.
unexpected turn of the conversation.
I really wouldn't be surprised that in the end, I mean, I don't really feel this personally, but it wouldn't surprise me that in the end we discovered that we are the aliens, but I don't know, 1,000 years ahead or
Yeah,
something like that.
maybe.
It would be absolutely crazy just to think about that.
We created ourselves and then we
Yeah, I've
destroyed
heard this theory
ourselves.
as well.
Yeah,
That
and then and this way, like we actually learned to travel back in time. But then why wouldn't we like try to warn ourselves? That's what I don't understand. That's why it doesn't really make sense to me. Because if I was an alien,
maybe we
if I
do.
was a gray alien and I traveled back in time and I saw, I don't know, I came to my room and I said, "Oh, look, I've got to warn you about something," they wouldn't just like, but maybe they're just carrying out tests, who knows? Who knows?
Mm. Can be pretty much anything. There's so many
Mhm.
theories, so many
So
religions, and
many
everybody
theories.
thinks they're
And
right.
like you don't know what's true anymore. There's so many different theories, so many different, oh, I think this is the truth. I think this is the real God. You just don't know anymore. There's so much. It only comes
And
down
people
to
have
what you
been killing
feel
each
in the
other
end.
for it as well.
Like, what else can you? Yeah, yeah.
This actually brings us back to our
It
topic.
really come. Yeah. Well, we started well, AI. It's definitely an interesting subject, and I do believe. Uh, I don't know if you told me that or who told me. I read it. I read somewhere that the basically the coming of the big Antichrist is actually an AI demon that actually operates through, a demon or an entity, whatever you want to call it, actually operates through AI. So there's a
Yeah.
theory like that. Now I don't know. There's a
That
specific name of it. I
that
have
sounds
to
very
ask.
Christian. Every time when a new
Yes.
thing comes to that scene, there's Christians saying like, "This is the source of evil," and then they
This is
kind of start coping
Satan.
with it. Yeah. This is a new thing and must be evil
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah. Mm. I don't know. Are we all like raised Christian? All three of us.
I,
Like you're
I.
probably
Are you raised Christian?
yes, no.
No, I'm not raised. Like I wasn't even baptized, to be honest.
Oh, really? Okay. And what
Yeah,
about you, Marina?
yeah. I'm a real
No,
antichrist.
my family is not religious at all. No, my
So I was
family is
the
not religious, and
no. Oh God.
I was
Lucky
only
you.
baptized a few years ago because my nephew was baptized, and I just did it to keep him company. It
Ah,
wasn't there was no religious context in it for me. It was just like as a family thing.
for the crack.
Yeah. I don't want to say crack because I'm not Irish yet.
Oh gosh, no,
So,
my
so
family
Marina,
was
you
very
weren't
like my
raised
mom was really
Christian.
religious.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. There was there was an overlay, and I didn't. I heard a bit like delayed. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there is some sort of delay, I think. I can
Yeah.
hear you guys. I
Hmm.
don't think in a chronological order.
Hmm.
I think it's aliens interfering in our conversation.
I think they don't want us to say what we have in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so my family is not religious, and uh, I think there's a lot of history in Russia. I think I may have said this in the last podcast, but in Russia, the religion was wiped out for dozens of years by communists
Mm,
because they only wanted the people to obey to them. So
mm.
they would blow up the churches, and it was not welcome to be religious at all. And it's only coming back in the recent years when people are not afraid to go to the church or to identify themselves as Christian or any other religion for that matter.
But it was the same in Yugoslavia. Like I was born in Yugoslavia, and my mom was really like like my whole like entire family side was Catholic, and she would tell me the stories of like when she would go to school on Monday that the teacher would ask them to like raise hands, whoever was in church over the weekend, and they would get some kind of punishment like for it. But unfortunately, that really strengthened the religion in my family because it was so weird, almost. So they became even more religious
Oh, really?
to my detriment. Yeah, so it was kind of like you could still go, but everybody would look down on you. And then
Mm.
like when Croatia got its independence, they started really, really connecting with the idea that being a Croatian means being Catholic as well. So now that's a new problem.
Mm.
It's never perfect, and I think we had like at some points like Croatia was like 95% Catholic or something, which is kind of crazy. But it's going down now. I think there's more and more like agnostics, atheists, and I'm not sure. I said to my mom when we were doing like the what's the name of that? Like when they're counting like population, so they would come to your home and they would ask you like a
Um,
couple of questions,
Census.
and yeah, and I said to my mom, like, you tell them I am an atheist. Like, I don't want to be counted as Catholic, but I'm pretty sure she put me up as Catholic as well. And I'm like, no.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that really reminds me that same. I think I was 14 at the time, and we had a person coming in for the population census, and I was sitting across the table with my mom, and the question came, "What religious? How would you, where would you put yourself religiously? How would you identify as?" And I straight away said pagan. My mom looks at me, and the person looks at me. They're like, "Estella, you're 14 years old. You're not a pagan." I'm like, yes, I'm a pagan. And I my mom said to me, oh, when you turn certain age, you're gonna like grow out of it. You're gonna like not identify with this anymore. But it's funny because all of this time passed and nothing changed. You know, I felt
No.
pagan at 14 and I feel pagan now. So,
Yeah.
but same story with the
Same.
it
Religion
started
just
with the
didn't work for
census.
me.
You know, same story.
Yeah. No, I was like very like at some point I became very irreligious. Like I think that happened kind of like in my early teen years when I really started refusing to have anything to do with the church, and I was very aggressive about it. But there was a lot of reasons why I kind of felt that kind of hostility towards religion, and I think because it was kind of shoved down my throat when I was a kid. So like my mom started like taking me to church when I was like 6 or 7, and I was very confused about religion. Like nothing made sense to me, and I still remember that vividly. That I was like, "Wow, what is happening?" Like I see one thing, and you're telling me the other thing, and I was so confused. And I had so many questions, and the more I was asking questions, the more they weren't willing to answer them. And I was like, that's something fishy here. And I realized at some point I got in this question in my head, which kind of like really got me away from religion. And it was, if God created me in a certain way and I'm made in an image of the God, why am I nothing like him?
Hmm.
I was like, this makes no sense. Like, why would you give me sexuality if you don't want me to use it?
Yes,
You
that's
know?
a good point.
Like, why is it here? Like, why would you give me something? And then if I have these natural instincts to do things, why would you come and punish me for it? Because, like, then it's this big bully, which loves punishing people for being what they are, or I'm not made in your image. So I'm like, something really wrong here. And also, like, the fact that I could see spiritual things didn't help. Whenever I would go to church, I would just see like awful things.
For example?
A lot of like negative energy. Like the churches are
Okay.
literally like soaked in this negative energy,
Yeah.
which was like almost invasive. Like it would just
Mm-hmm.
like penetrate you. Also, all kinds of creatures hanging about the churches, which weren't really
Well,
friendly.
lovely.
And as a child, like that really freaked me out. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
And it's supposed
Oh
to be a
gosh.
holy place, you know? But
Yeah.
if when you're hypersensitive, you actually find that unfortunately churches are can be the least of holy places, because all of the if you think about it, all of the world's problems, all of the negativity, a lot of people come to church when they're like really desperate and they're really anxious and they have bad stuff going on to them. They go there and they frantically pray, you know? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only imagine all the stuff they bring in. And that's what
It's
it feels a bit heavy as well, you know,
it's a lot
inside.
of guilt. I emotion
Yeah.
that I would kind of name guilt. So much guilt, like, because like why would you go to, like,
Hmm.
people go to church, unfortunately, because the religion is there's not a lot of spirituality around Christianity. It's basically pray to God and ask no questions. So it's not something that you can really, how would I say, you can't really explore it. So you just have to believe it. And that's another problem. Yeah.
I wouldn't say there is no spirituality around Christianity, but more around these branches of it, like Catholic and Orthodox and all this stuff. They kind of try to frame the whole concept of Christianity into something simple,
Mm.
and they try to direct us into the certain mindset with a lot of restrictions and things that we have to just take for granted and obey.
Yeah.
But the whole, I think the Christianity is a bit more than that. And I'm not an expert on this topic, but even the Bible, it's actually a quite interesting book if you just read it without trying to uh, stick to certain interpretation. Like I was in this retreat a couple of weeks ago, and the place was Catholic, and
Hmm.
the retreat was not religious at all, but the place is really Catholic because lots of monks come in there, and every room has a Bible in it. And I read one page, so that's it's a difficult book, so one page was enough for the evening. And there was one sentence there in the very beginning, like the Genesis, when first day when God created the earth, there was a big amount of water, so there was nothing but water, right?
Hmm.
And what he did first, he divided the water in two parts, and there was water above and water below, and he created this vault called heaven between these two layers of water. And the water below, he started to make oceans and rivers and all that. And the water above, the Bible doesn't say. So it's there's so much thought there. What happened to the water above, and what does it actually mean? What do you think? What could it possibly mean?
Could be a lot of things. Could be clouds, rain. If there's no rain,
Yeah,
there's no crops, you know?
yeah,
Um,
that's the simplest thing that comes to mind.
but it can
So
also
that,
be a world
but
above.
look, yeah, look, because the water above is above heaven, so it's above the space, above the stars.
Mm.
It's not just clouds are just here.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
what is it? Yeah, and Bible doesn't say, and none of the religions like Orthodox or Catholic explains what is water above. And on this retreat, I was talking to a very interesting lady. She is very spiritual. She is a full-blown psychic. And I'm like, hey, I read such an interesting thing in the Bible. And she goes like, oh, it's a gel. I'm like, what gel? This is just an untouched substance which everything started from. And it contains our DNA in the untouched state, you know?
Hmm. Interesting.
And yeah, if you remember this the flood, which drowned all the earth,
The
it
Great
was
Flood.
like
Yeah.
the Great Flood. So this water apparently came from this water above, and it was like a fresh start for the earth. So I think it's a very interesting metaphor, and once you kind of keep your open mind and think about it, it can be very interesting. It doesn't have to be a certain very simple interpretation, and there is a lot of unknown there.
Mm.
That's true.
The way that I was thinking, like,
Personally, I have been
um, say,
uh,
say it, Stella.
aha, sorry. No, personally, I've always resisted reading the Bible, but recently I've come across a couple of videos and a couple of like texts, and that made me a bit interested in the Bible per se. I definitely would like to read it because I do believe there's a lot of referencing and there's a lot of metaphors to the like beginning of Earth. Also, if you read between the lines, you can actually they do reveal they do reveal things about the ancient world that, for
Yeah.
example, nowadays we're not taught in school or history. So I would definitely like to um, obviously take it with not take it too seriously, but at the same time, it would be interesting to try and decipher these sort of metaphors. Like the woman on the retreat said, "Oh, there's this gel from where the oceans were created, the life started." What is this gel? Is this like DNA? You know, is this DNA compound? How will I say this? Is this the liquid of life? So the DNA, and was that injected, or you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think that obviously it's been rewritten so many times, and some parts were removed, but it is
Yes.
basically almost like an imprint into the beginning of our civilization and Earth. You know, it would be definitely. I mean, definitely once in your lifetime I think anyone should read every Bible or every sacred book of every religion, or just to kind of understand and connect the dots, because each and every one of them, not all of them maybe, but they do have quite a lot of similarities, you know, to our long
Because
forgotten history.
Yeah, these
they've
people
been
who wrote the
taking things from
Bible,
each
they
other as
didn't want
well.
to
You know,
create
like,
Christianity or Orthodox or Catholic religion. They just wanted to pass the information. It's the matter of what we do with this information and whether we manipulate it or we just try to learn and interpret it in the new ways and keep an
Yeah.
open mind.
yeah, I don't know. It feels like all the newer religions, like, which is, you know, like the I'd say, like, you know, Islam is partly, you know, similar to Christianity in many ways. They even share some of the similar things, you know. Um, I feel they've been taking a lot from the previous religions, you know, and, especially Bible is very similar to the Sumerian religion. of the ancient Sumerians. So if you go and check their tablets and you check their writings, you can find a lot of similar, if not the same stories, but just with different names. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then that was taken then into the ancient Rome and ancient Greece, and then that kind of traveled. So it's almost like the same information. So I would say at this point, like, they're probably correct, because like if everybody's saying the same story and you have these same informations from different sides of the world, it must be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like, some of the things in Bible, for example, like if you read through Sumerian scripts, none of it is very spiritual. It's all just almost facts. So it was like, oh, these aliens, they arrived, like aliens, they called them God, arrived to the earth. They created humans. They used humans for labor. And then later, because gods were taking women as their wives, the demigods were created, and then the gods and humans were punished because they shouldn't have been taking human women as their wives. You have the same in the Bible. You actually have the same verse in the Bible where it says that angels were taking angels or gods, because like sometimes in Bible the God is speaking about himself in plural. He's saying like they took like human females as wives, and then they were punished for it. And and then at some point in Sumer as well, like they try to exterminate us because there's too many of us and we're becoming too smart, too good, too evolved. We're becoming almost a threat. And you have that same thing in the Bible where almost God is like afraid of humans, which shouldn't be, right? But honestly, this is a topic we could talk about like probably for a couple of days. It is so complex, and you can look at it in so many different ways. But yeah, I love Mauro Bellino. He has a couple of books on Bible, and he actually was an official. Oh,
Any ghosts in the room?
no,
No?
kick them out. No, I'm paranoid. Like when I move into a new apartment or a new house, I just build shields around the place, like
What kind of
around the
shield?
entire place, like energetic shields with spikes and
Okay.
warnings, so nobody comes in.
Oh, wow.
And then I have another shield that I put around my bed because, like, I don't want anyone to contact me while I'm sleeping, and it's also
Yeah.
keeping me in from not traveling around. Because yeah, I used to like go somewhere every night and then I would wake up like completely tired. So I'm keeping myself from walking around astrally too much.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Like I even had like fights on the astral with entities that I would kill.
Okay. I'd
Some
like to even imagine how it looks, but it's just when someone says something like that, oh, I saw the creature from another world, or I was somewhere else in my astral body. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. I don't even know how to entertain this conversation because I have no idea how it
yeah.
actually feels like or looks like. Like, oh,
There's so
okay.
many different ones, like as well. Like there's so many, like, wow, different creatures. Even my grandmother and my mother used to see things, which is crazy. And them being religious also made things like more difficult because they would interpret it, like they would just like they would have their interpretation, which would be like, oh, this is something of God, but it didn't make sense. So yeah, my
Yeah,
grandmother
religion
was
just,
obsessed with Virgin Mary. She was like, and then I talked with my therapist, and he said, well, that was the only role model that a woman could have back in the day,
yeah,
because every other person in Christianity that was celebrated was a man.
yeah. I've never thought about it in this sense, really.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, that totally makes sense, and I'm like, what
And
a
there
role
was this
model.
There was this Maria Magdalena. I don't remember what's the story with her, but she was like a slut
She
or
was a
something.
she was a prostitute, and then
Yeah,
I guess she stopped doing that when she met Jesus, and then she would be
yeah,
he really like liked her. Like there's this entire controversy that she was his wife in the end, but yeah, of course,
okay.
Catholic
Hmm.
Church doesn't like the fact that Jesus would have a wife. So,
Yeah,
but there are some parts in the Bible that kind of gently suggest um that he had some kind of relationship with her, because it would say
yeah,
kind of like she was his favorite disciple and things like
okay.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And also there was some kind of verses that I was watching that guy Mauro Bellino, and he said like the certain things that would only a person that was from that era would understand it that way. For example, like when he asked for a certain kind of oil, um in order to, like, how they were like use oil to, like, I don't know, put on the forehead, or for, like, there was different oils for different occasions, but some of them
So
were
it's,
for sexual use, for like
oh
a
wow.
lubricant pretty much. Right.
It's
And
like aromatherapy. We still do that.
yeah, and
So they did all the same thing
he asked that
2000 years ago.
to have when he was with Mary, and he was like, but that's only used for sex.
Yeah.
So there's a high possibility that she was his wife, like,
Yeah.
which, if Catholic religion like would allow their priests to marry, there would be so many less scandals and everything, because you're attracting the wrong kind into your clergy.
Yeah.
So like Orthodox Church has no problem with that, and there's never any kind of scandals connected with it. I've never heard any, ever.
Yeah. So they just make up a story which is in line with their interpretation.
Mm,
And I do believe that there was Jesus who was very gifted and enlightened and awakened guy who was very much ahead of his own time.
mm,
And probably that's why he was killed. And yeah, there was this experience I'm not sure if I told you about. I had a trip, like a psychedelic trip without psychedelics. When I was just out of the surgery, I had a very small surgery and they put me into the general sedation. I
okay.
was asleep for 15 or 20 minutes. And when I woke up, I walked home. It was nothing serious, so I just took a bus home. And on the way home, I started feeling like something is happening that is out of ordinary. I'm going somewhere where I'm not ready to be.
Oh.
And yeah, and these thoughts started coming to my mind, which were really connected to these ideas of Christianity that Jesus died for us. I was like, what does it even mean? Jesus died for us. And I I started texting with my friend. She's religious, she's Protestant.
Uh-huh.
And I started asking her all these questions. What the fuck does it mean Jesus died for us? And she started sending me the pictures. She has this little book where these things are explained in a very simple form
Mm-hmm.
for general public. And this book says Jesus died for us means Jesus died instead of us because he atoned to our sins. It means
Mm-hmm.
that we are free from the sin and we can start building the paradise on earth. But this is not at all what happened. And that's what I asked her. But why we are not building heaven on earth? Why his death just caused completely opposite thing? So his death just put the humanity into thousands of years of guilt, shame, and fear with all these religions and whatever church has been doing to us and whatever people are doing to each other, calling themselves Christians. So was this like a big mistake or something? She goes like, no, God doesn't make mistakes. But why?
Why
But
would he?
why? Yeah, then what the fuck is going on? And I don't remember how our conversation ended, but I was sleepless for about 24 hours, and there was so much going on in my head, and there was 4 a.m. and I was like half asleep, and at some point I was just, like the light just popped on in my head.
Uh-huh.
The feeling was like Jesus came to me and confessed to me himself what actually happened. And what came to me is that if we remove the concept of time, because the concept of time is invented by humans, that we live at a certain point of time. In fact, as there is a popular opinion that time actually doesn't exist, there is only the eternal now, when things are happening all at once. And if we remove this concept of time, probably this has already happened, but in our dimension, when we have to follow the timeline, we are just not yet there. So to atone for our sins, we have to experience the sins. That's why all this shit which is going on the planet, like wars and all the personal stuff related to guilt, shame, and fear. And only after more or less, after Jesus came, we started to be aware of that, because before there was Sodom and Gomorrah, where people were just fucking each other and and they were not.
I like that, Marina, actually. I like that theory. Um, I I have another theory, but that's just me. I I think we already had heaven on earth, but it was taken. I, I don't know. I have some memories from before, long
From
time
when?
ago, long time ago, from all the way back, God knows when
And
everything
what
was
was there?
perfect. It was like, you know how they imagine Atlantis? Like this perfect city where everything was perfect and everything, we were living in harmony, and um, people weren't just like normal humans. They had like a lot of spiritual gifts. They could move objects with energy, and like like superhumans, evolved humans, and then we were attacked.
Attacked by whom?
That's a question.
Hmm.
Yeah, by suited people with guns
Really?
that were not
Wow.
humans. Yeah. So, and then after that, we just kept on, um, like kind of like humanity. We're still evolving because we're getting smarter and all, but spiritually, I think we're just going back. We're getting worse and worse and worse. We're
I
going
think so.
mm, like I don't know. For me, being spiritually evolved means like working on getting better with your spiritual gifts, if that makes sense. Just, it's almost like if you have your physical body and you're going to gym, so you're working on your physical body, or if you're working on your mental aspect, so you're going to study something, and then you go to school, and if you're working on your psychological part, you go to therapy. But how do you evolve spiritual? You know, like you have to. There needs to be some kind of routine for your energetical and spiritual body. There are some like yoga, for example. Okay, but what's the end goal? How do you get better at it? Like how do you see things better? How do you understand things better? Because that's the end goal. And I think that part of us as humanity is just totally fucked. Um, with less and less capabilities to see things the way
Well,
they are. We see them physically.
no, I wouldn't be so pessimistic. What my thoughts about it were, so especially in relation to all my kind of shamanic experiences, where people take psychedelics, including myself, to get out of their own head and try to see something other than they normally see,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the people, they just face their own shit. So
Yeah.
my theory in a nutshell is until we are in harmony with our body, mind, and spirit, until we deal with our emotional issues, with our
Yeah, you can't tap
karma
into
stuff.
you can't tap into spiritual before that because you will go
Yeah,
mad. You will go
yeah,
crazy. Or you go
and
into ego.
that what happens in some rare occurrences where people just have massive psychosis
Yes.
because they experience something that they are simply not ready for, or they don't know how to interpret it. And in the best case scenario, they just run around naked and scream some nonsense. Or there can be much worse. It can be much worse when they hurt themselves or some other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, this kind of practices, they should be uh, taken really carefully and supervised
Yeah.
because it's not 100% safe.
Nothing is safe.
And yeah, and but I wouldn't say that the world is going to hell in terms of spiritual development. It's just we have so much stuff to work on.
It's getting better. Like it's getting better in a
Yeah,
way, but also I don't know, like when you have generations of people that are kind of constantly evolving, de-evolving back spiritually through generations, like you kind of I don't know, I can see it energetically. So their children would be even less spiritual, like in a way, than the generation before.
and
Um,
what is your understanding of spirituality, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, like when I look at them, when I look at their souls, in a way, so if there is an idea that you come to this, you know, this dimension to work on a certain thing or achieve a certain goal or do something because you need a physical body to evolve spiritually. Um, if you don't do it, the next incarnation is going to be like, okay, so here we go again. And if you fail again, next time is going to be like, okay, here we go again. You can be like stuck in a continuous loop of reliving the same stuff and making worse and worse decisions because like society is not going to guide you towards anything. Like before, you had your astrologist that would check your natal chart and say,
Yeah,
look,
true.
you have this and this and this. Maybe you can guide your kid towards that and that. Or like you had someone that would, I don't know. There was a lot of like things that spiritually like people could look into to help you out on your way. But now there's nothing. So you're just kind of like, I'm here and
Our spiritual health was way more accepted than it is now. Now we all base everything upon the physical, even though if there's an ailment of spiritual nature, we don't look to get it resolved spiritually, even though there's lots of services that you can avail of, such as Reiki, sound healing, this and that. But as society, it isn't still 100% accepted.
no.
Not really, you
Like
know.
I had a thing. I have a friend who has a very sick girlfriend, and I've looked at her, and I see her soul is not in the body.
Yeah,
She's not in. She's not in at all. Like, and that's why her body is constantly
yeah,
sick. There's no energy in it. She's actually up, like somewhere up. Like I see the connection with the body, but she's not in it. And she can go to 500 different doctors, and none of them would be able to help her because she's not in her body at all. And there must be a reason for it, some kind of trauma or something. Like she's not ready to physically, completely, incarnate in her body, but she is alive.
yeah.
So she's like half alive almost, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, do I pull her in? And but I can traumatize her even more if I
Yeah,
do that. Um, like I would need to see what is so terrifying about being inside of your body that this is keeping her out. It's probably some kind of birth trauma. something that happened very early, and she can live out through her entire life without being aware of this.
I agree, it can definitely be trauma, but sometimes it can also be that you're simply born like this. You know, you're born, how will I say this? You're born in between worlds, in a way.
That
You
was
know,
me.
you know that
I
because
know.
you know we discussed that. I definitely, it's the same story. I'm not completely out of my body, but most of the time I'm like 50% out of my body. I'm not very
Mm.
present. Like I am present here with you, but even now, my mind, my soul works on another plane, another level, where like an antenna, I pick up on stuff surrounding me, even though I can seem present in the moment. You know, yes, definitely can be a result of trauma that
No.
pushes your soul out. It's so heavy,
Yeah.
so severe, and
It's like it's so terrifying
but
to
what
be
would
in
be
the
the
body.
case then? That there would be another case when it would happen, but what I am trying to figure out why it would happen on the non-trauma level. So, like, is it that you're born that you just didn't have enough time to adjust in the body?
It's usually the trauma.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
find it's something that happened that, you know, like as you would be as a soul, you know, coming down to go into your body to experience this world in a physical form, like that would be something that you would naturally do as a soul. That's the end goal. That's why you're here. You're not here to float around. You know, if you have the ability to sometimes jump out and float around, that's great. But like, you wouldn't be floating around constantly, because then you are not experiencing the physical dimension. You're just experiencing the spiritual one, and that's not why you're here. So it has to be some kind of, has to be something, but it can be also be connected to the past lives. So if there's a trauma around, like for example, someone is, you know, killed.
Girls, whether you believe it or not, but I'm getting, like, I know I'm gonna sound like a complete lunatic right now. I mean, I don't care. I'm already labeled a lunatic a long time ago. But I am getting so much visitation. I don't know what's going on.
At the
The
moment.
At the moment, especially since the beginning of August, and it's trust me, the more you talk about it, the more it interferes with technology, and I find it fascinating how it does that every single time. You know,
It's
okay,
so
my connection
strange.
is shit. That is a fact. Obviously, that's not
Yeah,
that's
but
not
my
an
one was
outside
great.
influence. But it's weird that like now it's happening to you. Now it might happen to Marina. Um, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Where were we? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the you know, like maybe there was a violent death or something, you know, that made the soul kind of a bit, you know, like cautious, too cautious to go in the body. But that was interesting. And sometimes I see people standing next to themselves, and I'm like, what? It's like, why are you outside? Sometimes they're so far away that I need to follow the link from their body to the soul, and I'm like, oh God, you're so far away from yourself. Um,
Would they
so strange.
be outside for some particular reason, or just you
Yeah,
don't know why?
usually like they just never fully incarnated in their body. Um, Usually something really traumatic. So like at the point where you would need to look, she's gone. What is happening? Today is a crazy day.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, like when you were a baby, like a mother's womb, you know, you would kind of like incarnate into your body, your little baby body. But like sometimes it's there was something wrong. Like for example, like I don't know, there was some kind of negative emotions from the mother towards the child, or I don't know, or anything. It could be anything. Like I know my story. My story was a funny one. Funny, not funny. Tragic, maybe more. Why
You
I didn't feel okay to go into my body.
you feel like sharing, or
Yeah. So basically, my mom, she she had like around 6 abortions before I was born, and
oh,
yeah. So there was like around 6 babies, as far as I know, that she didn't have. she decided not to have. And when she got pregnant with me is when my father finally decided he wants another child. And the amount of guilt and stuff that she was carrying inside of her made her body like completely, it was like so hostile that I just didn't feel okay in even going down into that body like that she was creating for me. um and then also when I was born, I was kind of stuck in the spiritual world with all these kids that were never born. I don't know if you believe in stuff like that, but like I have a lot of like different stories. Um, for example, like when I was a kid, I used to play with dolls. Like I had a orphanage, and I would name all the dolls with different names. And then when my mom was dying, actually, because she never forgave herself for doing that, she started saying like all my children are here, and she started using all the names that I named the dolls with the name of the children. So basically, I was minding my born brothers and sisters as a child. So I was kind of stuck with them. I think it's almost like a survivor's guilt in a way. Why was I allowed to be born and they weren't? So I had to deal with that through family constellations because like part of me was stuck with them. It's like, my brother didn't have the same story because like he was born first. He was the first child. I was unfortunately born after tons of abortions.
It's I'm the second child as well. And I wasn't. My sister was planned. I wasn't planned, and I wasn't wanted. But I just decided to come, and I came so surprisingly. And even my mom said that when I was born, I was so happy to be back. I was basically happy because I knew, and to this day, I still know that my previous life was I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to end it basically, and I just couldn't wait to be reborn. I was so happy that I was born, even though like against all odds. I'm gonna be brutally honest. My mother wanted to abort me when she found out she was pregnant. She was like, "Yeah, there's no way I want to have another child." And well, unfortunately for her, fortunately for me, she was too far into the pregnancy. So I was like, "Yes, I'll come to this earth whether you want me or not."
Oh my god, I was
That's
hanging
a
out.
good attitude.
I was
Yeah.
hanging out with ghosts more than with living people in the first years of my life. Like I
Oh,
was literally more in the spiritual world with people that nobody else could see. And I was kind of happy there. And I remember, I think 12 years old that when I realized I exist as a person, like that this is me,
yeah.
because I had no idea, or the kind of, I didn't see myself as a person. I existed through other people because I could just walk into them. It's freaky. So I would exist through other people, and then one day I realized, like, wait, there's me as well. Look, I'm a person. Like I have my own things. I would just live through other people. Like I wasn't a normal child at all. I think I became a bit maybe that was the moment that I actually entered my body finally. Yeah, when I was around 12.
Did it
And
feel
that
better
explains,
before or after?
well, I was very sick as a child, which explains, why I was probably so sick.
Okay.
Just constantly sick, and many times I remember myself watching myself being sick, not experiencing it. So kind of like almost walking between constantly. And I remember once I had a really high fever, and they were like, my mom would had to use like a cold shower to get it down, and I would be like watching myself screaming from the ceiling and things like that. Or even like, just they would send me like to hospital, and I remember walking to the reception and asking for help, and tomorrow nobody remembered that. And I was like, but I was there. Like I went and I was like screaming for help, and they were like, no, you were sleeping. Like we gave you a lot of like medicine. I was like, no, I was like I was there like asking you for help. So yeah, everybody could have thought I was crazy. But
Far from
at least
crazy. Actually, if I had a child right now that would experience what you experienced, actually, and I can't wait for any of my future children to be like this because I'll know exactly what to say to them. It's like you're normal, that's completely valid, and that's completely normal. Even though they'll say, "Oh no, there's something wrong with you. This is not a normal reaction. You're hallucinating." No, this is normal. For hypersensitive souls, for clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient people, absolutely normal. Um, it's sad when maybe you grew up in a family that didn't really understand that, and that would rather gaslight a child rather than, obviously children have a lot of imagination, like let's not forget that
yeah,
not
of
everything
course.
has to be
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
but when your child comes to you and says, "Mom, I'm seeing this, I'm feeling this, there's something in my room," there, or they start like naming a friend that suddenly they have, and they describe him and everything, and then you're
Thank
like,
God never had a
stop talking bullshit, this is not real. It's like they don't, like, children see things and they're able to astrally project. That's probably what was
yeah.
happening to you constantly, and
Yeah.
it's amazing
Yeah.
that you were able to go so far,
Mm, mm.
because it's really
Yeah,
like to go from, like, I don't know, for example, the hospital bed to reception. It's it's quite the travel.
yeah, yeah, and I was like always confused. I was like, was this a dream? Like, am I
Yeah.
crazy? And everything was so mixed up. And because it was so mixed up with me being sick as well.
Hmm.
Like when you have a fever, you don't know what the hell is happening anymore. But I could remember things at the reception. I can remember people that were there. I saw little details. So it wasn't like I was. And then I was like, I need to stop saying this to my.
I constantly had not only ever since I remember being alive, I just remember having visitations at night. I always remember having experiences, visitations. There would be, uh, for example, I remember once I was so young, I literally heard two people. I was asleep. It was dark, and I heard two people talking in my room. They were talking. It was
Mm,
like a conversation going on, and I remember hearing it so loudly. And I'm like, "There's no way. There's not like people in my room right now." Even though I knew there wasn't, and seeing things, and I had issues with sleepwalking for such a long time. I used to wake up in random places. Like once I woke up in a field behind my house, once I woke up on the street, and my mom never knew how I got there. She was like, okay, well, she's guess crazy sleepwalking. I remember once I woke up and I was like on top of the ceiling, and I was flying. I was like floating, and I looked down and I wasn't in my bed, but I was levitating, and I
wow.
remember just like waking up and hitting the bed. So I hit the bed so much because I was so up high, up in the ceiling, like literally, I was literally stuck to the ceiling. And I remember falling down so hard that I actually got like almost a concussion of how hard I hit the bed in that moment.
That's
And I remember
insane.
seeing, when you hit your head hard and you see like
Yeah.
stuff around your eyes.
Yeah,
That,
like
that
little
was like one of
stars,
the
like
first
little
memories I have, waking
sparkles.
up in random places. This experience, then hearing like conversations in my bedroom, like very vivid stuff, like name it, and that kept going on and on and on and on, at least until the age of 18 or 19, and then it kind of stopped
Mm-hmm.
after.
Mm,
It stopped, and I didn't have anything. I had like psychic attacks, and things like
mm,
feeling like paralysis. But then around April 2020 is when I started getting some sort of visitations again. And when I call them
mm,
visitations, I don't want to sound too crazy when I say
mm.
visitations.
I know what you
But
mean.
the most recent, I had one yesterday, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
I do
It
have
was a little
friendly
creature.
visitations,
Uh,
but not unfriendly. Unfriendly, I kick out always. I'm
yeah,
like, fuck.
yeah. Or unfriendly, friendly, name it. The unfriendly ones. It's to be honest, I now it took me a lot of years, but now I can really like tell them to fuck off, like more with more confidence
Yeah.
than before.
I was saying to Marina, I build shields around every single house that I live in, like massive energetic shields, and around my bed as well, because I don't want anyone touching me while I sleep
Mhm.
without my consent. And but yeah, I at least like when I was 18, I think a bit earlier, when I was like 16 or 17, I started like really working on my spiritual gifts. In a way, I started doing meditation,
Mhm.
energy meditations, like grounding, and all kinds of like almost like left hand path, evolution into I mean, occult is anyways just hidden, whatever's hidden. So I started doing that, and I actually finally stopped being sick thanks to
Mhm.
myself. It's like, there was no energy in my body. That's why I was sick.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started like doing kind of energy drawing meditations, like chakra spinning. And at some point, as Marina said, I got to the point where I needed to go to therapy as well. It's like these things started awakening my trauma as well.
Yeah,
So
of
that
course.
became a huge obstacle. So it was like almost like if you overdo this kind of energy, spiritual stuff, you that obstacle of trauma and things that are in your psyche that that you will need to get rid of. But at least I learned how to control things, like for example, ghosts. Yeah, like I always used to see them, but I got into situations like a couple of times where I was curious. I would speak with them, and then I would bring them home, and they would follow me home, and it's scary as shit, like I was like a gothic girl, so
Yeah.
metalhead, so we used to hang out at cemeteries and stuff. So when I would see something, I was like, okay, maybe I should try to speak with it. And I got this guy home once. A guy, he was an older dude with a hat, and he didn't want to go. And you can imagine sleeping, and every time you wake up, you see someone sitting beside you at the bed, trying to speak with you, and it was so scary. And
What were you talking about?
he was stuck in a loop, almost like he was looking for his wife. And he was asking me the same questions every day, and then I would give him the answers, but he wouldn't hear it because he was stuck in the loop. God knows how long he was stuck on the planet without leaving when he should have. And so I had to kick him out in the end because like he wouldn't leave, and he was starting to become aggressive as well towards me. And I was like, okay, what do I do? What do you do with ghosts when they don't want to leave? And I went and Googled, and it was like, be aggressive to them. So I screamed at him,
Wow.
get the fuck out. And he did left. I can get a bit scary when I'm angry. But I was like, okay, now I know. When I see a ghost, ignore him, and don't talk with them. Only if you know them, if they're your family or something, and they can be helped. If they're like freshly passed away. So I don't deal with ghosts. I know everybody's so, I have so many friends that are like, oh my God, you can see them, you can talk with them. I'm like, you don't want to talk with them. No, like a couple of times, like they followed me back home, and that wasn't nice. That's when I started putting shields around my room.
When
You're
you
not in.
How
say
did
shields, what does that entail? Like a spiritual shield, obviously.
So for spiritual shields, so I put like energetic shields around my house. Every time when I
Mhm.
move somewhere, I have to do it all over again. It's a bit annoying because I need to reinforce them all the time. So it's almost like creating a bubble
Mhm.
around your home. And then I put like little spikes as well and warnings. Do not enter. And yeah, and I feel kind of safer because as you said, like anything can visit you.
Yeah.
That's the thing of being a human. You are defenseless. Anything
Is
can
there
come.
some kind of a ritual, or do you just do it in
No,
your
I don't do rituals anymore.
mind?
Everything's happening in my head. I'm like beyond that. So I just imagine, like, I just, literally project things. I gather energy. So I gather energy from whatever sun or from the surrounding, and then I just kind of layer it around the house. Put some spikes. I do shields around my bed as well. And I had some friends that are also kind of spiritually gifted, and they were like, "I cannot enter your house. I cannot." Like, and I'm like, "Of course you can't. You need me to allow you." It's like, I don't know. I probably became paranoid when I was a child because, like, as you, like, I, I could see so many things, and especially like I'm pretty sure my father was he had some kind of creature entering him when he was
Uh,
so yeah.
Now I'm so proud of myself that I was able to enter your house in my dream. You remember the one I was talking about?
Yeah. I probably
I
let you
passed
in.
your shield. Yeah, you did. Definitely.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
yeah,
happens
no.
so spontaneously, Um, it happened to me so many times where I suddenly found myself in someone's home, even though
Mm,
I didn't plan it. I don't know who this person was. I don't know what was going on, but suddenly I wake up and I'm in someone's house. I see family pictures. I see it's a home basically, and I hear people's private conversations, and that and not only
you're haunting them.
literally, yeah. I wonder, could I feel a presence in that moment? Could I feel that I was the ghost? And a few times, unfortunately, I just heard very private conversations between some people around me that I didn't know were
Mm,
happening, and things were said that I was shocked about, and I knew it was a real conversation. And sometimes I get to know things the information that is so private that I don't want to know, but sometimes it just comes. Obviously, like,
mm,
imagine what you would if you practice if you basically nourished and practiced your spiritual gifts every single day. Imagine where you could be. But it's like a type
I
of power that is it's big power. And I was reading a book by you probably heard about Dion Fortune. She was a
yeah,
famous occultist back in I think the
yeah.
1920s in England. And I read a book called um, defense from psychic attacks, basically occult defense. And it's so interesting. Like, she even says that even the people that are spiritual gifted, once they come into initiation, not everybody is ready. Even those with gifts cannot be ready for such power. It's a tremendous
Mm,
amount of.
no,
You have to be
no.
brave. You have to be willing to resist to become part of this energy. And a lot. And she said that a lot of people on the way to, basically, while they were getting initiated into the circle, that they would be scared shitless. They would turn around and they
Mm,
would run away, and they're like, I thought I was spiritual gifted, and I thought I was, but I can't handle this. This is too scary.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
tremendous. I would
The
love to
psychic
explore it.
attacks are actually very valid, and even if you look at in psychology, there's I went into this body oriented psychology school, and they deal with character analysis, and there's different character shielding, and when they speak about like psychopaths, right, they say they attack energetically. They
Mhm.
attack energetically. They grab you. It's like they find your weakness and energetically they push themselves in. So that's why they always look for weakness. The weakness is not only, psychological or mental or emotional weakness, it's weakness in energy field as well.
Did you notice
That's why
that
it's so
that as you strengthen your character, your spirit, you no longer are of any interest to psychopaths and sociopaths.
no,
They
they
don't
hate
like you
me. They run
anymore.
away from me.
They run away. Did you notice that they just run away?
Yes.
They're just like, nah, fuck this. This is too difficult. It's funny.
I got told by one guy, he's like, when I see you, like I wouldn't fuck around with you because you're crazy. I was like, yes, I am.
That's
I will
good.
fuck you up.
It's a compliment.
Like, do not mess with me. Like, I am able to give you so much love and nurture and energy, and I will take care of you, and you will be like part of me. I will take care of you so much, but if you fuck with me, I will destroy you. And it's a good, that's kind of like healthy boundaries,
Yeah.
Healthy boundaries are not also just mental,
Mm-hmm.
psychological boundaries, they're energetic boundaries as well. So with someone that has a very weak energy field, like maybe breathing in energy into your aura would be a good start as well. It's like I look at humans like, as humans, like as part of, like we have our physical body, we have our mental, psychological, our spiritual, like they're all aligned. It's the same thing. So you can't be like, there's a lot of these people that think that, oh, I'm gonna become this spiritual person, I'm just gonna work on my spirit. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, all of it has to be aligned.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things are easier done through the body. Like, some of the things are easier done through mental, So if if everything needs to be on board, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you can't just be spiritual, because why are you here then?
Maybe sometimes you can. There are people with disabilities. This famous Vanga, this lady
She's
who
Russian as well, right? Baba
she's
Vanga.
Slavic. I
Yeah.
don't remember whether she's Russian or not, but she was blind. She was so old, and I don't think her mind, body, and soul was really aligned. She was just sitting there and doing this. How it's called in English?
Like, she was a prophet, right?
Yeah, the prophecies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. You see, but sometimes, like, there are some people that come on a mission
yeah.
to the earth. So
Yeah.
maybe her mission was to give us prophecies. And in order to do that better, she came in without sight, without an actual sight. So her,
Yeah.
third eye would
Yeah.
work better.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting. Some people are just born this way. They're born open, and they're same as someone is born a prodigy for maths, for example, or for music. There's children that they can just play the piano so perfectly, and they never been shown. They never, some people are just born extremely spiritually gifted. Some
Yeah.
people develop it. Some people are like, I actually met people that were not spiritually gifted. Their kundalini was awakened. They had a car accident, something very bad happened to them, and suddenly, like, everything just opened. It's crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
it can really happen. Obviously, there's a level of practice that you need to do, because if you don't, then what happens is if you're not ready to deal with these gifts, what can happen, mental illness, schizophrenia. And
Yes.
I know I'm going to
Yes.
sound completely like controversial for saying this, but unfortunately, besides some people genetically being predispositioned to have this disease, lots of people are actually just spiritually so open, and they're not ready to, like, accept this. And what happens is the hallucinations, they see things, and that they're not able to control it. Like, it's happened many times, beside obviously being
I
the
had a
obvious health,
yeah.
disease.
I had a friend. He has schizophrenia, and we went together on a gig. So we were together for around like 4 or 5 days. When I'm together with people in the same room and hanging out together with them, it's kind of like, because my energy is constantly going around. I pick up a lot of energy from other people, and I feel them really good. And I remember we were going back from Budapest in this train, and he was off his medications because he didn't want to have trouble when crossing over the border. I don't know, like, he didn't take any medications for 3 days. And I was sitting beside him, and I could hear a voice saying something. And we both turned because he heard it as well. And I could actually hear a voice from his head.
Oh my
I'd say.
God, seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
And it
so
was so
crazy.
weird. It was so weird.
It's really proof that it's not just, and I know lots of people might attack me for saying this, but it's not just in their heads. It's really
I
not just
don't
in
think
their
it
heads, you know.
was. I think his character was split. I mean, soul can split sometimes
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you have two parts of you and they're communicating, and people think you're crazy, but it's actually two of you. And it's usually also due to like a
So you
big
would say
trauma.
that's two souls in one body.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
but it's the same soul. It's just
Mm-hmm.
split.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can split so many times. Like, have you ever heard of soul retrieval? It's an idea that due to traumas and kind of like really stressful things through our lives, parts of us get stuck in the past, but we can go back and pick them up in a way, kind of reattach them. That's kind of that thing, I think.
Is it like,
And I
is it the
did some
same
of
as
it, and
recapitulation?
possibly. Depends on what that is. We're probably talking about the same thing from different sides.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like traveling back to past, to very stressful moments, and reclaiming parts of ourselves
Yeah,
and
it's the same.
reattaching them to our soul. Yeah, and I think sometimes if there's something really really awful happening to a person or to a soul, like you can split in a couple of parts, and you can still, like, you're still all there, but it's more of you. And soul can't function like that. So there must be some kind of mental illness that
Yeah.
develops in a way. Yeah.
I would
So how to
definitely love to see in the future, you know, they're developing technology and so on, but I'd love to see a good good research done into spiritual misalignment of the soul and mental health
yeah.
issues. I'd love to like I hope I get
Like,
to see it as long as I'm alive, you know,
do
one
you know
day.
Yes,
yourself
it's just no one
that
knows what the
for
soul is.
example, yeah, for example, there's a couple of me in me. So there is a child me.
Hmm.
There is like I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 of us inside, and at the moment we're really getting along well. And there is a one me that is kind of minding them all. It's
Yeah.
like taking care of them, and it's like the main voice that is like, okay, we're gonna do this and that, and we're gonna go and do this together. That's almost like parts of me splitting up, like, but at least I can get them together and they're working together and I'm taking care of all of them. But this is like your inner child, and then like that's your person. So I believe that can happen with the soul as well. A
And
strange idea, but that's how I see it.
it's no, it's definitely. I think it makes sense. I can attune to that as well. I definitely have more. Like, definitely have one soul, but there's more sides of me. You know, um,
Yeah,
like as you said, the child you, the one that minds over you. Um, I definitely feel for me. It depends on the day what comes out.
yeah.
You know.
I always had this very clear part of me that is like crystal clear and understands everything. And I was very attuned to it. And that actually kept me sane throughout all the shit that I survived in. There was always part of me that just was so clear and in control of everything, and just like, okay, we can do anything, and everything is
Would it
fine.
say
Like,
it was your
yeah.
higher
And
self?
like, if
Yeah.
yes, and I had like and it's strange because like a lot of people can't really reach that part of themselves, but I came in with it. It was there since I remember. Probably the reason why I'm too serious as well.
And you,
Yeah,
Marina, what's
interesting.
your experience with uh
Yeah, I'm just quiet because stuff that you talk about, I experienced none of that.
but you've been to
So I'm just
you've
listening
been
and
to a
like, okay,
couple of
well,
but I'm interesting to hear that you've been to a couple of spiritual retreats. And I'm interested to hear
yeah.
what was the most intense experience that you had in one that you can recall in one of these retreats.
Yeah, all of them was intense. It's just I didn't go there in order to see some otherworldly stuff. I went there because I had to deal with some of my emotional issues, which I couldn't deal with the conventional methods like therapy, yoga, and all that. I was just stuck emotionally. I wasn't happy, and I went. I was scared as fuck, and I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have reason. So, and I went a few times, and every experience is very different. It's for me, it's this topic that we touched upon in the beginning, that before you actually experience some psychic or let's say spiritual things, you have to deal with your emotions, and I'm barely through it because it's just lots of things that I had to work through. But yeah, I did have. It's hard to even talk about it because it's all happening on some level that is really hard to put into words. But let's say my first retreat, it was ayahuasca for those who might be still listening to us, and I 1 second, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So it's really hard to push through the initial discomfort what it brings, because you have to let go of control, because our minds are controlling our souls and bodies. So, and my mind is specifically controlling. It doesn't want any odd stuff, you know. Maybe that's why I haven't experienced any of the things that guys are talking about, because my mind just like, okay, it's too much. But the second night, once I relaxed into it, um, I went into a very dark place. So I, it was like I was drowning, and I couldn't do anything about it. And these people who facilitate the ceremony, they play different music and they sing songs, and they create this atmosphere that brings you into whatever place you're supposed to be. And I found myself in this place when I am totally alone, and just all the world were my enemies. I couldn't trust any single soul.
Wow.
And yeah, and they said before we did it, they said, if you really struggle, just raise your hands and we come over and help you. And at that point, I was thinking to raise my hand, but I felt like I couldn't trust these people. I couldn't trust nobody at all. And this loud music, this flute, like the flute, it was so non-melodic. It was just so random. And this is the instrument which people hate during these ceremonies, because the sound itself, it just takes you somewhere. And I just had to sit through it and breathe through it. And I felt like my hair was moving, you know. So it was just I couldn't lie down. I couldn't stand. I could just sit in this position and breathe. I don't know how long it took. But then they suddenly changed the music and they started playing this little bell. It's called koshi chimes, you know, this instrument. And it just suddenly all shifted. And I found myself still not born. Like I was still I was still a baby in my mother's womb. And it was such a peaceful feeling.
Wow.
I was lying there with my eyes closed, but the color was like pinkish, and I saw light coming through like whatever place I was in, and it was just so nice. I was so grateful for the chance to be born, and I could hardly like. It's not that I couldn't breathe; I just didn't need to. I think I took maybe one breath in a minute, and I was just lying there and enjoying the fact that I'm about to be born. S- Yeah, so it's just one of the experience, and most of the times I had to push through some very difficult stuff in order to find myself in some really nice place eventually. So, but yeah, it's very different for all the people and really hard to explain.
I'm actually terrified of that. Like
Same.
I was considered taking something. Like I never took any drugs. Like I am terrified of um, going even further. It's like I might not come back. And,
I know,
Yeah.
right? I
it's
know.
my
Like,
fear.
because to be honest, with everything I've been through, it sort of makes sense that I tried that. And for a
Uh,
reason, I feel that would be it for me. Honestly.
guys,
If I
I
even came
Mhm.
back from that, I would probably just lose it.
I
Mhm. You know what? They say that you need to, if you decide to go for something like that, you have to set the clear intention so that you knew where you're going and why. Otherwise, it
yeah.
will take you anywhere, and it's not necessarily what you need right now. But if you really have some sort of request or intention, maybe something you want to work on, no matter if you want to see some more stuff that than you normally see, or you want to work through some issue, you need to understand why you're doing this. And some other people told me that you have to bring your spirit guides. I imagine you guys have some spirit animals or some others. Did we lose Estelle again?
Yes. Yeah, my
Mm,
one is Raven, and yeah, I love ravens. I love all the corvids. Like I always felt really strongly with them, even though people hate them. But
yeah.
that's when your totem is an animal like that. Is like people either like you or they hate you, and that's the thing with me. Been like that.
No, I love spirit animals. I did this. We we were looking for our spirit animals in the sound healing retreat.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't take any substances. It was just not required because the sound itself, this guy who I go with for this sort of events, he's just a magician. He's very, very talented and gifted, and only with playing his music, people just go places. And we were looking for our spirit animals,
Mm-hmm.
and there can be many of them, so it's not necessarily just one.
Yeah.
But every time when you go, you discover a spirit animal or a bird or a fish, whatever, or any other worldly creature. So this animal is your guide whom you need at this moment of time.
Yeah.
So I did this a few times, and every time it would be a different animal. So first time I had a snake,
Oh.
which is, yeah, which is a really powerful animal
Yes.
in terms of like spiritual development.
Yes.
And but some other time I had a dragonfly, and yeah, I had sometimes they just appear outside of any practices. I just keep encountering some specific animal, and
Mm.
like this dog in my dream,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely my spirit guide as well. The way they were biting my hand, they were telling me something,
Yeah.
and every spirit animal has their meaning. So there
Yes.
is this book that I really want to buy. I forgot the author, but it explains it so well what it means to encounter some spirit animal. And if you go on a shamanic trip, so with or without psychedelics, if you take your spirit animal with you, they will guide you. So you will definitely come back. There's no chance that they will leave you alone
Yeah.
wandering there.
Yeah, no, I literally like I am allergic to certain things like I was since I was a child, so I wasn't aware. I'm actually allergic to certain plants, but not all of them, like maybe some of them. And there's
Yeah.
this thing like called the flower powder that bees make. They actually collect it, and that from like the beekeeper, you can get honey, you can get flower powder and propolis and all other things and they're all really healthy. So my mom bought me some of the flower powder so I can put it in my yogurt, and I wasn't aware that I was allergic to it. So I ate that, and instead of like just having like an allergic attack, I actually started traveling,
Oh wow.
and I traveled back to my ancestors. Imagine on a stupid flower powder. And I could see my grandfather. It's insane. Like on that. Imagine what
Oh,
would happen on something serious. So
yeah,
you can
yeah.
understand my worry.
Yeah, the question is whether and why you think you might need it. Maybe you just don't need it at all. For example, this moment of my life, I
Yeah,
don't think
maybe.
I really need it, so I would probably do it just out of curiosity, but also I would still set some sort of intention. Where do I want to
Yeah.
go? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
I would probably look for something that I am overlooking. You know, like I don't think or claim or believe that I can see everything. It's probably a lot of things that I
Yeah,
can't see. So like the
but
things that
why
I'm
do you think you
overlooking.
need to see? What is that you want to see?
I don't know. I just want to know. That's me. Like throughout my life, I just wanted to know everything. Not so
Okay,
I can have control over it or use it in any way. It's just like I have this
yeah,
incredible thirst for
curiosity.
knowledge. Yeah, like just to know things.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
yeah, that
and
makes
that
perfect sense.
in a way that's kind of like improving the quality of my life, I guess. No, maybe it's making my life harder as well. So let's be honest. It'd
Mhm.
probably be better if I don't see half of the things I've had. I would have a better life probably. But I don't know. It's like this kind of like spiritual thirst is something that I had since I remember. And there's Estella.
And here I am. Now all of a
I just
sudden
mentioned
it
spiritual thirst.
all of a sudden like everything was fine. It just suddenly says your microphone has been disconnected. Like all of
Oh.
a sudden, and I was literally standing like this, so
I'm
it's back
telling you,
now.
something's around us, but I don't see anything
Because
here.
to be honest, the connection, I'm checking the connection. The connection is really good right now. So I really, at this stage, I really cannot explain it because the connection is good. The extender is flashing with like good lights, meaning it's well connected. And the
Mm,
connection is great on my laptop and on my phone. So I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
It's probably them being like, Shh,
I am
we
being
wanna say
watched.
something. We wanna say it's like, shut up.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah, maybe they want to pass some information and they're like, hey guys, hello.
um.
I'm also great at channeling. Did you ever do that, Stella?
Oh yes.
I am amazing with it. You just give me a chance, I'll never shut up. Like I
Yeah.
can just channel whatever you
You
want.
know, the first, I can remember the first time I've ever channeled. Unfortunately, we were doing a Ouija board session when
Oh
we were
God.
12, 11, 12 years old. We were all a group of friends after school, and we're like, oh, let's do a Ouija board. So funny. Ha ha ha. Not really.
No.
We're about to find out that it's not really funny as it seems. So we were we were asking questions and so on, and it was going very well. Like something was definitely there. We were getting the thing was moving towards the letters like crazy. Now, the first time I discovered I could channel, and I had no idea I could do it, and I found out in a very bad way. Basically, I don't remember this. It's only what the girls told me that happened to me that suddenly I changed. Suddenly I changed. My
Oh.
voice became deeper, and
Hmm.
became extremely aggressive. And I started telling them that they should stop it right now. And this
Wow.
is not funny. Um, I don't remember saying this. I don't remember doing this. I was just like, it's almost like something has taken over me. And they said I just got extremely aggressive. And I
Yeah.
was basically, I started threatening them. And I started saying that if they continue, I will come for them. Like
Wow.
I was very very dark. They
That
said
is
that the
so
whole room
scary.
changed. The My demeanor changed, became very dark. And then I kind of snapped out of it. And then I don't remember that I became like this. And
Hmm.
they started telling me, "Oh, you've got some issues, Estella. We don't want you joining us anymore. You're weird. You scared us. Why did you say that?" I said, "I'm sorry. I don't remember saying this or doing this." And then anyway, I stepped away. I felt like I had to step away because it wasn't good. I felt whatever that was, it was talking to me, and it did not, because basically what happened, they were calling upon a dead person, and they were making fun of this dead person. and
Oh my
that person was a
God.
celebrity.
Oh
And
no.
I felt this anger, like, how dare you, like, make fun of me, like,
Oh
I
wow.
became, I don't know, I don't remember. That was the first time I channeled. um the same night, I remember, it was, oh my god, it's so bad talking about this. Like, we had a sleepover at my friend's house after we did the Ouija board, and I remember I had a dream. I was engulfed in flames. I was engulfed in this, like, circle of flames, and there was a dark
Oh
hooded
my
figure
God.
that came to me, and that said to
Oh.
me, "I'm gonna spare you, but I'm not gonna spare the friend that made fun of you." So, and what happened in the next couple of months? My friend has, well, my then friend from school, she started experiencing, like, very bad, like, misfortune with family members, just pets dying, family members dying. And I
Mm.
remember that evening when I had the dream of this fire and this dark hooded figure that came to me, basically said to me, "Look, I'm not going to harm you because you understand that I do not want people making fun of me." Um, but it did say, "I will go for your friend." And basically, I was kind of spared, except for that evening, I have developed an extremely high fever that just came out of nowhere. And it came out of nowhere. It stopped. Then next morning, and this that was that. I felt like my skin was burning. That was the
Wow.
feeling. So whatever I channeled was obviously very, very pissed off. Very dark. Then throughout my life, I can channel in
I
the
only
sense
had
that.
positive stuff. Just
Sorry.
positive stuff. I only had positive stuff. Never anything negative.
Yeah.
Because like I
Yeah.
wouldn't like I'm very kind of protective of myself. So I'm like, okay, I need
Hmm.
to know you're nice, you're fun,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
can enter my body, or else I'll kick you out.
No,
And
that
I
that
never give them like whole.
that thing was like, it was sort of like, literally, I will destroy all of you. I will if
Mm,
you don't stop right now. But at least it gave us a
mm,
warning. Then the next thing I can, throughout life, I found myself to be able to channel a- any sorts of emotion. Unfortunately cannot really like, for example, whenever I go to, like, a clinic or a hospital, I will probably come outside and I will frantically cry. Not because of me, but because I picked up on something.
oh, yeah,
And
the
it's like,
hospitals.
what, like, I remember that happened this summer. I went to this private clinic just to get, like, a couple of blood tests done. And I was there just, like, chatting, and I was happy, and I was like, I was kind of bubbly and chatting to the receptionist, and everything was fine. And I went into the elevator, and suddenly I get this feeling like, that's it, I'm gonna die. Everything, like, my life is going to end. And I started crying in this
You're
elevator, but
picking
I
up
knew it wasn't
emotions.
mine. I knew it
You're
wasn't me
picking up
because
emotions from other people.
5 minutes prior, I was completely fine. I was, like,
Yeah.
happy, I was bubbly. It just, I picked up someone's, because obviously this
That's the
private clinic
residues.
has
Yeah.
an oncology department as well. So
That's the worst department, trust me.
yes, yes.
There's no worse department than oncology in hospitals. I've never been to a worse place in my life, and the
I
energy
can
is just
imagine.
grim. And imagine putting people that are actually, in such a fragile state into that kind of energy is just should be. We shouldn't be
I
doing
cannot
that,
imagine.
but we don't understand it.
To be honest, I cannot imagine working in palliative care
Mm.
and oncology. Like, has to be. I really raise. I don't know how you say this in English. Like, I take off my cap for people that
Oh yeah,
can
yeah.
work in this. This is such very low vibration type of energy, despair, guilt. Maybe, even though there's different experience for anyone,
could
but.
could be okay. For example, if you're there to help someone pass
Mhm.
from physical existence into spiritual and ease their what we do as humans, we grip onto our physical bodies too strong, and that's great during the life, but when it's time to go, that may become a problem.
Yeah.
So I could see myself doing it, but I don't want to do it. Like I'd probably be great at it, but
Mhm.
yeah, because like all my relatives when they died come to me. It's like I need help. I'm like, I'm gonna take you from here and
I,
there.
I, I
Like
feel I
I'll
feel
escort you.
definitely what I
But
can feel from you is that you have a very like spiritually, you have a very like motherly energy, like spiritually,
mm,
like you can soothe and you can lead
yes,
people into a state of like calm and a state of
yeah,
even I can totally see you being able to bring them to another dimension, like help them pass, because you have that
yeah,
like the strong kind of motherly. I can feel like it's very anchoring kind of energy.
mm,
It's like,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
worry, I'll
yeah.
I'll take you and I'll place you somewhere safe.
Yeah. No, I did that with my mother. I was there when she was dying, and I was like, I saw her struggling inside. I was like, just let go,
Hmm.
just let go. And she did. And it was actually, like, of course, like, your mom is dying, and it's the worst thing you want to see in your life, but it was also very glorious. Like, I could see the soul exiting the body. It was this
Really,
bright light. It was beautiful. And then, after 2 minutes, you're like, you know, there's no more anyone
no
in the
more.
body that you're holding a hand of someone who's gone. And for me, holding a hand of a dead person, it is terrifying because I know there's no one in there. I don't know if other people can feel it that way, but when I touch someone who's dead, I can really feel there's no one inside. And it's I think on a subconscious level, a lot of people also feel terrified. That's why death is so terrifying. Because yeah.
And I was reading a couple of days ago about pre-death lucidity, that a couple of weeks, a couple of days before actual death, that suddenly they seem to get better for like a day or
Yes.
two
My
before
mom
they
my mom
die.
got better on the day when
Yeah.
she was about to die. I remember I
Wow.
had an exam that morning, and she was really bad. She was for a month, she was like on morphine, so she was
Hmm.
completely out. And I'm coming to her room, and she's like, "Anna, I'm hungry." And she didn't talk to me for a
Yeah.
month, like,
Yeah.
and she all of a sudden, and so I gave her food and everything. She passed away that evening. But she had
Wow.
this moment of clarity all of a sudden, and they say that's very common. And also, she had a lot of visits during.
Yeah.
She talked with whoever that was. And I remember that was kind of scary as well. I was sitting with her in the room, and she was constantly talking with this person, and she'd be like, "Go away, blah blah," and I'm like, "Mom, who is that? Like, who are you talking with?" And but like she was almost hallucinating, and she would be like, she just looked at me like this. He's not here for you. Do not talk with him.
Oh my God. I wonder who she was seeing.
Hell, yeah.
Oh my God.
I
Something very
I wasn't sure, but I saw him walking around a lot before she left.
I noticed that I was hospitalized this summer because I contracted salmonella on my holidays. And
Oh wow.
yeah, it was glorious. It was like a birthday gift.
It was your birthday as well,
It was
so
my birthday, and on my birthday I contracted salmonella. You.
Oh
So
no.
anyway, it's obviously because it's a very dangerous bacteria. I ended up in the hospital with like extreme dehydration and so on. And I was in this like because obviously we were sharing like rooms with other patients, and there was this old lady, and every night someone would visit her, and I actually, first it was very creepy to listen to, second it was kind of like in some moments it was cute because she was talking to her mom, she was talking to her sister, and then few times she was so angry, she would be like, go away, I don't want to talk to you now. And then sometimes
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
sister, I'm so happy to see you, oh sister, oh mom, come here. So it was, oh my God, I was literally like beside her, and it was so emotional to hear that on the other, well, side
Yeah.
of the
It,
curtain.
it, it is scary as well. It feels like when someone is dying, their energy changes as well. I can recognize it. I can recognize it very they even the smell. It's like I have a very distinct astral sense of smell. I can smell things on the astral. It's a weird gift. Like it's so creepy. but like
It's great.
the smell and their energy changes. It kind of it starts twisting into something different, and I felt that tons of times, and I felt that with some people that were also like kind of healthy, and I was like,
Like, for example, with people that are healthy and you feel a twist of energy, what does that signify? Like,
it's probably at the end of their life as well.
yeah, even with healthy
Yeah.
people, that would mean like sudden death, basically. Wow.
Possibly, yeah. I never really looked
Wow,
into it, but like it was
yeah,
strange.
that's really that's actually really creepy to even to it's a lot to
Yeah,
carry when you feel stuff like that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you like
And
physically smell them though? Like physically
yeah,
smell death.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I
It's
I had that a
it's
couple
an
of times
awful
as well.
smell.
Yes. I only felt it twice, but it's not a nice smell, to be
That's
honest.
why I'm not looking forward to the old age. When I
No.
feel that in myself, I'm not gonna be happy.
Best case scenario,
It's
they
like-
have like legal euthanasia or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Well, we
I'm pretty
have it,
sure
but
I'll just fly away. It'll be fine. I'm more terrified about other people that I care about dying than myself. I don't
Mhm.
care about myself. I'll be fine whenever it happens, It's not a
Mhm.
big deal. But like being emotionally attached to other humans and having that idea that you might never see them again. You don't know for sure, you might. You might all meet after you die, but you might not as well. And pretty sure my mom reincarnated, so I don't know how the hell are we gonna meet. um, so just having that idea that I'm not gonna see someone ever again in physical form, it's more terrifying to me than death itself. My death. I'm fine with that. That's okay.
I think Marina, you're sitting here like
Two
in
crazy women.
disbelief.
Yeah,
By the
that's why
way,
I said paranormal and spiritual for me. It's the same thing. I don't.
yeah, no, I agree with this. Marina, what's your zodiac sign?
Capricorn.
Capricorn. I was picking up on some earth and some water as
Yeah,
well there. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely feel earth
Mhm.
energy from you.
Mm.
Yeah, we're down
Which
to
zodiac
earth.
sign are you guys?
Aquarius.
Cancer.
Ah, okay.
We have
So
three
Cancer is
elements
also
here.
water, isn't it?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
air.
Strangely
Oh,
enough,
sorry.
Aquarius is air.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
Like
not
Aquarius.
yeah, I know, because everybody that asks me is like, isn't Aquarius supposed to be water? Like, yeah, he carries water, but yes, he's not a water
In the
sign.
air.
Yeah, he's
Um,
in the air. Yeah.
yeah, we are, and I'm like a Gemini rising as well, so I'm definitely all air.
With moon in
um,
Aries. Fiery.
yeah,
Fiery and
that's
passionate.
that's why I can say to the ghosts just to fuck off from my home when they're annoying me. Oh my gosh! Yeah,
And Marina, do
I
you
see.
know your rising sign?
I don't even know what is it.
Okay. Gives me homework then.
Yeah, I definitely feel some water as well.
Yeah,
There.
yeah, I feel
Yeah,
water.
earth and water.
There's such a warm energy, very calm. It's almost
Mm,
like calm water,
Okay.
So definitely can see
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
A
Pisces
lot
maybe.
of mental energy as well in there.
I wouldn't be surprised like Mercury or like Moon in an air sign, to be honest.
Yeah. We're like
This is
poor
fun.
Marina.
We'll
Yeah,
have a look anyway.
absolutely. She will tell you everything. I was kind of into astrology a bit, but like I never went that deep. Like, uh, also like I was into tarot cards and all kinds of things, but then in the end, I always end up just like using me, because I'm like, It's like, I can even look into coffee, but like maybe I just can see into a person. It's easier.
Then it means you're just clairvoyant, so you don't even need like some people use these tools, it's easier for them, to connect to that energy. But if you can just do that
Mm.
naturally, then this is really, it's amazing, it's an
Yeah,
amazing quality to have. No matter what,
yeah,
no matter what people say, how weird people think it is, I think it's a greatest quality one can have, at least in my world.
yeah. You can understand things a bit better
Hmm.
than people would normally. Maybe it takes a bit less for you
Yeah.
to figure out things because you can see them, but also, you see everything through the lens of yourself. So when you're looking into the world, you're looking through yourself. So if you yourself, if you're not in a good place, then you're looking through a bad, you know, eyeglasses, sunglasses, or whatever, a bad filter. You know that, like, if you see the world also the way you are, and you see the way it is, like a mix of things. So yeah, you never know 100% if things are like 100% true. There's going to be a bit of you in it as well. So when I see into people, there's a bit of me and the way I interpret things in a way that I explain things to them. So, sometimes like the way I would handle the situation or the way I would heal things is my way. So, yeah, everybody has to have their own knowledge of how they want to deal with it because my way is my way. Yeah. So that's a bit funny, but I learned that, um, especially like when working with Gen Z, because they are so different.
Yeah.
My way of dealing with things is so different than theirs. So I need to be careful. Like if I'm going to offer some advice, it might not work for them. It might be too much for them as well.
I noticed, yeah, definitely with Gen Z, they have their way, and it
Mm.
already differs so much from like what our generation might have.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to kind
As
of see.
millennials, we were kind of like, we believe we can do anything. It's not a bad thing, you know?
It's not, and if you look
Yeah.
at the astrology of it, the millennial generation, it was ruled by Pluto in Scorpio, which is obviously generational. And Pluto is Scorpio. Pluto is the planet of transformation and regeneration. It's like a phoenix rising out of the ashes,
Ashes. Yeah.
and it's in a sign of Scorpio. Scorpio has everything to do with like also transformation, death and rebirth, sexuality, taboo, occult, spirituality, paranormal, mystery. So imagine like a whole generation. We have overcome great trauma, but we are now.
Yeah.
I see millennials. We are growing to become so powerful in our own way. Powerful to be able to
Hopefully.
coach others or transmute energy. And Gen
Yeah.
Z, they what I don't like about Gen Z that they vibrate a lot on a very very, I don't know, I find their level of
It's
vibration a bit
it's
limited.
high pitch.
Yes,
It's very
yes, yeah.
high. It's like
It's
for
very
me
high
at
and
least,
it's a little
it's
bit,
not very grounded. It's
it's
not
too
grounded at all.
materialistic, but not grounded, but
Mm-mm.
materialistic.
It's
But it's very like it's almost like the desires are there for the wrong reasons. I don't know how to explain this. Maybe you'll explain it a bit better than me.
I think their goal, their end goal of that generation is to actually finish off what we started. But it's going to be
Hmm.
so hard because there's so much oppression in the world. Their goal is to actually finally overcome the society as it is at the moment. But it's so difficult because in a way we didn't prepare the planet really well for them because the baby boomers didn't allow us, and and now they have to deal with too much and it's too much for them, so they feel in a way like they can't do anything. like everything feels like too big of an obstacle,
Yeah.
because they vibrate on such a high frequency, and it's very spiritual. It's almost like it's not good for to even be in the body with that kind of high energy, and that's why they have so many mental health issues and stuff, because the world is too rough for them. They're too
I don't
gentle.
think I don't think older generation ever understood younger generation. So
Yeah.
we're old guys, and
Yes.
these young guys are
Yes.
not supposed to understand what's happening with them.
Maybe that's what it is.
True.
But from the feeling I had, is just a lot of obviously they're still very young. Then they're like doing soul seeking, and I mean, so am I. My God, and we always will do
They
some
feel
level of
very
soul seeking.
gentle. They feel very fragile to me. Energetically, they feel like
Yeah,
very vulnerable.
it's.
And
Do, do you find that they kind of they like to um they like to have to show their power through what they do, what they have, you know? But it's almost like inside they're really not as powerful as they think they are. That I don't know.
I,
That's just a
I
few
think
encounters I had myself.
I think their parents, probably our generation or
Mm-hmm.
generation before, we didn't have time for them, so we gave them things rather than what they needed. We
Mm-hmm.
gave them TVs, we gave them phones, we gave them things to play with, and it's the only thing they know. It's like we didn't actually give them resources to go through life. That would be a better gift, because like
Yes.
the world, like we expected, our generation expected that the world is going to become a better place for them, but as we see, the world is still a bit rough. You still need to fight your way through it, in a way. Like you can't go through the world like, I mean, you could, but you're probably going to get bruised a lot. um and I don't know, like we had this idea we're preparing a very good world for them, but then that didn't happen, and we over sheltered them, and now they're like poor things. I see them in like singing classes. I'm working with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these Gen Z people, and they don't believe they can do anything. It's like our generation, we do. You can be a rock star. You believed you can be a rock star, and you would do anything to be a rock star. You'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, hell yes, I'm gonna go and do it. When I have someone from Gen Z and I'm like, oh, you can be a rock star, and they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. Maybe one day, maybe you see, it's not a profitable career. And I'm like, wow,
Oh,
wait.
but that's what I'm talking about. They're so materialistic. They just, I'll do this job because it brings me money, which is
But they're not happy. They
they're
can't
not
do it.
happy with
They're
this.
not going to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
No. They finish colleges, and then when they have to go into the work, you know, environment, they can't do it. It's too much for them.
they can't
And
handle
which
it. Like, you know,
and you shouldn't be able to handle it as well, because
yeah,
this
yeah,
modern life and the world we created is wrong. So like
yeah,
we shouldn't be doing 40 hours a week of work.
totally.
We shouldn't.
As
So they're the generation that are saying, no, I can't do it at all. We
yeah.
were a generation that were saying like, oh, this is shit, I don't like this, but we still did it.
When it comes to that, I totally agree with Gen Z. And I don't think it's natural. Say whatever you want to say.
That's probably the
40
next
hours a
step in
week is not
evolution.
natural especially not for women. To be on the go constantly and have very little time for hobbies and just to pay attention to your loved one or your children. It's very dehumanizing, in my opinion.
Mm.
I personally don't enjoy it, and I probably never will.
Also, I think where we messed up, because like baby boomers were so, like we were raised so rough, and we had a lot of trauma, and there was a lot of shit around millennials, and there was a lot of like toxic masculinity, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And then when we had kids, if we after them, and we were like, now I'm gonna do everything right, and then my child is gonna be so protected and so loved. And then you send him into the world.
Yes.
And the world has teeth.
The world is
Yeah,
cruel.
it
They
is.
don't prepare you for
No,
adulting. They really don't. They
no,
just
no.
throw you in and
Unfortunately, I was over-prepared. But I wish I wasn't. I wish I had a lovely, peaceful, nice childhood where I could just enjoy and
yeah.
have no worries. But unfortunately, I was preparing for the even worse than what I got, so I'm kind of over-prepared.
Human babies are unique because it takes so much time for us to even be able to function independently. Like
Yes.
we, like the baby of giraffe or elephant, they just born, and
They walk.
in a couple of weeks they can be on their own already.
Yeah. It's like
And for us, it takes 16 or 18 years, for some people even longer, to actually split from their parents.
50.
And
I've seen
yeah,
situations.
You're being generous
It's,
and
there.
there,
it's like you
yeah,
see a
I don't know
baby.
if there is a right way. Yeah, I don't know if there is even a right way to give the child all they need,
You
because it's
can't.
just not
You will
possible.
mess up. You know, I said my
Yeah,
therapist told me like, Anna, you will mess up. You will mess up your child. Just be be okay with that, and you will send him to
yeah,
the therapy to me, and I'll fix him. So you're
yeah.
fine. Yes, of course I will, because I'll do everything that I thought that I needed from my parents. And every child is born unique. So like what my child, if I have it and one day, will need is their thing. So I won't do it. I'll probably be like, I do that with my cat. I see that. I'm like, oh God, Anna, you're awful. Like I'm like looking at my cat, and she's like now old, and she's been eating like from her bowl, and I'm like, oh, is it hard for you to bend now? Do your ankles hurt? Don't worry, Anna's gonna buy you a bowl that's up, so you don't have to bend anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I will make my child so weak, because I'll be pampering and recognizing every single need that this child needs. And maybe that child is going to need some guidance, or maybe something different. Um,
Probably in reality, it's we're not gonna have so much time to think what they need. We will just go with the flow.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I
And
lose my patience as well really easily, so I know I'll have like, what?
yeah, it's not gonna be perfect. No way.
No, no, you just give up on that idea. You just do the best you can, and that's all you
Yeah.
need to do. And then the child, if you do a lot of things right, is going to look for resources outside of you as well, and that's what needs to happen. Ideally there's going to be a father there as well that's going to stop me from doing too much, be like,
Yeah.
don't be spoiling my son, and stop me from overdoing it. And other people, society, teachers, everybody gives a bit. When I was a child, because I didn't have a lot of resources from my family, I was taking from other people. So I would go to my neighbor, and my mom was always confused, why am I washing dishes with a neighbor? Because she never allowed me to wash dishes with her. She'd be like, oh, this is not for you. You're not going to have to do this ever. You're going to be a successful professional woman. So someone else is
Oh
going to
well.
wash the dishes for you. Thanks, Mom.
Oh my God.
So I would go to my with her, with them, or like I would make food with her, or I would just I was very good with finding resources that were not from my family. And probably I can thank the fact that I'm so mentally healthy, because I took from everyone I could. Yeah. But that was the purpose of tribes before as well.
Yeah.
So the child didn't only
Yeah.
have mother and father, it had all the members of the tribe to guide them, and we lost that.
We actually had a discussion the other day about the loss of support and community that people used to have in the past. The loss of like moral support, just the support around you, just even on a bad day, being able to go to someone. And obviously you can go to your family or to your loved one and so on, but not everybody has that privilege,
No.
and they don't have community. They don't have anyone around them that they can go to. Yes, they can go to a therapist and pay, I don't know, 60 euros for a session. But that's not the point, you know. We used to have so much more support in the past, I think, as human beings. I'm not saying that this support and community was always super healthy, obviously, but it was definitely a normal part of I guess social interaction that right now I think we're lacking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it
Yeah.
depends on the
There
culture
was
as
this,
well and
there was
where you grow
also,
up.
yeah,
Yeah, because when I moved here, I noticed the quality of friendships here. It's so different. In Russia, we used to have these very close friendships, sometimes even too close. We get enmeshed. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yes,
But
I
yeah,
know.
here, it has to be really, let's say, on the surface level. You would smile at each other, go out, maybe do birthdays, exchange presents, but no way you would let someone too close to you. It happens so rarely because it's almost bad
yeah,
manners to just
Yeah.
throw yourself on someone with all your friendship and stuff. So people prefer to be like, okay, we just have 1 hour for you per week, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Everyone is supposed to be on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
my feeling.
yeah. No, Croatia's different. You know, we're very close knit society as well. Sometimes too close for our own
Yeah.
good. You know, people, stick their noses into your business, and there's a lot of bad stuff there as well. But there's also the supportive community. That's why we don't have that many homeless people.
Mm.
Even though the economic state is very bad, but there's always going to be someone who's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like your family and your relatives, nobody's going to let you sit, on the street without a roof
Yeah.
over your head. Someone's going to take you in,
Yeah.
That's so
in a
true,
way.
actually. When you think
Yes.
about it, I don't really see lots of, like maybe you see one that,
Yeah.
but here I see what I was shocked to see in Ireland, the young people, teenagers,
Yeah.
people in their early 20s being completely about, and they have lots of family. They have
Yes.
lots of friends. They just everybody abandons you when you need it the most. I just
If
cannot
you
understand,
like
and society
had
just
a
lets you end up on the street, like basically.
if you had a drug
I don't know.
problem in Croatia, like the family would almost force you into rehab. They would find money. Everybody would kind of come together, and they would be like, okay, we need to raise money because this child has this and that problem, and they will be angry with you. They will, but they will send you to the rehab, and
Rehab, yeah.
nobody will give up on you ever,
Mhm.
even if you do, even if you're the worst. And that's the strength of community, I think. Economically, there's less money there, so it's
Mm.
kind of strange.
It
Well,
is definitely a lack of a lack of like I wouldn't say lack of community, because community does come together when it really needs to, but there's
yeah.
the society here is very disconnected, and it's as Marina,
The
as you
the
said,
more
it's
west you go, the worse it
yeah, it's
is.
a very it's all based on a very like surface level kind of
Yeah.
friendship, and I found that even if I would make friends, that I very early understood that I cannot share very private stuff. It's seen as
Mm.
rude. It's seen as unwelcome. Basically, if I talk about my emotions openly, I'm frowned upon. Not sometimes, obviously not with everyone, but and I thought it was normal to just for example, people would ask me, "Oh, how do you feel today?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm not feeling great. I woke up a bit fucked up, and
They don't care. They just ask for the
you
sake
know,
of it.
yeah, it's basically like, I don't know, I'm not feeling great." But then generally, like you would get generally I was used to always hearing, "Oh, don't worry, it's just one of those days. I also woke up so fucked up. It's okay." Like kind of mirroring the like feeling. But then here they just go quiet. They're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, this person, I don't want to talk to her anymore." I'm like, "Whoops."
Mm.
Okay, well, I want, and then every time they ask me, "Oh, how are you?" "Oh, I'm fucking great."
I was talking with a friend. He's from Jordan, and I was telling him how I only saw my brother once in the last 7 years, probably 8 years now, and he was shocked. He was like, "But this is your brother. I call my sister every day. We're so close. We talk 2 times a day almost, and my entire is in different countries, but we're constantly on the group chat, and she sends me money, I send her money. It's like, how is this possible? This is your brother. He has this responsibility towards you. You're the younger sister. He needs to take care of you." And I was like, wow.
What?
Wait.
So much judgment all of a sudden.
But like I was like, I didn't even see it that way, that my brother, because like he's a man of the house now, he will become the head of the family soon when my father passes away. He needs to he needs to take care of all of us because that's his role in the family. I was like,
Can he?
I was like, oh gosh, like
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that makes sense, but I almost didn't even I I didn't have it in my head like that something like
Interesting.
that exists. And that's how they function. That's why community there is really extremely strong, for the good and bad, of course.
Where,
But
where was this person from?
Jordan, from
Okay.
Jordan, you
Yeah.
probably know
I
them.
heard
Yeah.
Georgia, and I was like
No,
thinking,
no, no,
oh,
no.
oh,
No, no,
Jordan.
no.
Oh, Jordan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, he's very into family. We have a lot of like good chats, him and me. We talk about everything, everything that's almost taboo about sexuality there, about the way they deal with women, the differences in society. It's like, and I see him very often in the bus, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have one of our chats now.
Yeah,
And
Muslim families, they are totally different because
yes,
not specifically in Jordan, but in some other countries like I don't know,
in Turkey, for
Qatar
example,
or
like yeah,
yeah. So women wouldn't, or Emirates, women wouldn't be even allowed to live on their own. So
yes,
they always have to be looked after by a man,
he told
like
me
be it
that.
father or brother or husband.
Yeah.
That's why I guess he was so surprised that your brother doesn't look after you.
Yeah. He's
Mm.
like, this is your brother's responsibility. And I'm like, go and tell him. He doesn't care about me. Like, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's
I
it's it's
think I
great.
think they.
Almost like I have
Sorry, go ahead.
I have friends from all over the world, and I always ask them questions like that. I have a friend from India, and we were also talking about female sexuality in India. It's like, I'm gonna ask you these crazy questions if you're my friend. So, oops. Go ahead,
I
Estella. What you were?
I actually forgot what I was gonna say. It just slipped my mind. What was I gonna
No.
say? My God. But yeah, to refer to
Yeah.
India, the last person I spoke to, with my pagan interests and the nose piercings, one of my friends from India said I would be worshipped as a goddess because of the nose piercing and their interest in paganism.
No.
It's like, oh my God, they would love you in India. I'm like, oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a totally different world as well. Like
Yeah.
Buddhism, Hinduism as well. Like I love Buddhism. For me, that's the closest to like what I was saying, like a spirituality where you work on your gifts when where the goal is not to once when you die to go to heaven, but like to basically earn your place amongst divine with your spiritual progress. So that's Buddhism. Taoism as well. I really, really love. It's almost not a religion. It's almost like go and work on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Mm. I'm not a really big fond of just sit and oh, it'd probably be good for me. When I did my yoga teacher training and we did every morning we had chanting and meditations and stuff and just sitting there not moving with myself was the biggest torture ever. Like, oh my God, the first couple of days, I literally went through physical pain. I was like, I want to move. Like, I want to, like, this is painful. I can't just, be sitting here, like, not focusing on anything. But then it got better. I was actually, yeah, it was really good. But the first couple of days, oh my God.
I told you yesterday I was doing the somatic yoga exercises, and they're the very slow stretches. And I absolutely love yoga with all of my heart. It makes me feel amazing after I do it. But there's one problem is when I have to go the thing you described, I have to go very slow, and I have to breathe, and I have to just wait. I can't. I'm like, I want to do everything so quickly, and I want to, like, come on, show me the most complicated stretches, the most complicated exercises. I want to see all the most difficult stuff right now, and I have no patience. Even though, like,
That's the beauty of yoga. It makes you
oh
slow
my
down.
God.
It makes you, like, connect with yourself. And what I love about yoga is also if you introduce breath and you visualize things like almost like you're breathing into the certain parts of the body energy, and you're releasing all the bad energy. It can be literally like the biggest bliss on this planet. If you can introduce a bit of spiritual work.
Isn't the best
it's
feeling
like
when
yoga
you're
on
like,
steroids.
isn't that the best feeling when you breathe into an organ or a muscle and you can just feel the tension, the, like, stuck energy
Leaving.
as you do a movement? It just gets, like, unblocked and released, and it feels like you're moving. Even one of I absolutely love the sacral ones. Any poses or any stretches that stretch the sacral base or the pelvic floor.
The pelvis.
I
Yeah.
feel when I do
Yeah.
that, all of my frustration, all of my tension is just like exits. Like, it's amazing. Oh, I love it.
Because we women accumulate
Yeah,
a lot of shit in our pelvis.
yeah.
That's why
I
you
would
can't
assume so. Yeah,
you can't be horny when you're stressed.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't. As a
Totally,
woman, you can. As a man, you'll be
totally.
like, okay, I'm gonna do because like I'm gonna release it now. Like if I have sex, I'm gonna release it. Where a woman is like, no, I need to, like, really tune in my body and relax in order to be even able to do it.
I
Unless
wish
you're a
men
teenager. When
understood
I was a
that.
teenager, yeah, when I was a teenager, I would use my sexuality as a release from stress. So, but that was coping mechanism. That wasn't real, you know. Yeah. Men
I
don't get
totally,
it. That's why.
totally
Yeah.
can understand my body completely shuts down when I'm stressed. Honestly, I can go months without feeling any sort of,
Yes.
like, need
Nothing.
to
Zero.
do anything, because it's just the moment the stress comes, it's almost like my root chakra just completely closes.
Mm,
You know.
mm,
But when I'm the
yeah.
most relaxed, when I'm made feel that the space around me is secure and the energy is secure, and I'm given time to, like a flower, open up and relax. Obviously, when you're drunk, then it doesn't, you know,
But then I don't
obviously.
feel anything.
Yeah, then whatever, everything is anesthetized,
Like,
basically.
yeah, I was like, that's great. We're having great time, but I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
It's like, glad you're having fun, though.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Then usually just like my body goes numb and I'm just
Yeah.
floating around.
Yeah. Same.
Anyhow,
Guys,
jeez, how long?
I,
How long has it
2.5
been?
yeah,
hours.
Oh,
2.5
I
hours.
think my headphones are about to die because it's been more than 2 hours.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyhow, that was great.
That was amazing.
We I don't know. We
Yeah.
talked about everything in this podcast. I don't even know. Like, I'm curious to see what the program is going to make out of chapters. But anyhow, yeah. Thanks for coming in, and don't leave when I end the call.
Okay.
This
Thank you
still
so
needs to
much.
upload.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so
That
much
was
for
amazing, and looking forward to doing it again. Really,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
such
Thank
a great
you.
experience.
Yeah, it was great to be here.
yeah. Amazing. I really
See
enjoy it. It's
you.
like our Friday night out,
Yeah,
but it's a
and
night in.
it almost
Yeah.
feels like therapy in a way. Strangely enough.
Mm, absolutely. Anyhow, thanks so much,
Anyhow,
and
girlies, have a good night.
thanks to
Sleep
everyone that
sound.
bared with
Good
us for
night.
2.5 hours.
See you next time.
See you,
See you
and don't
next
go.
time. And have a good night.
Eh,